So there is bipartisan efforts to get rid of TikTok in our state houses and indeed in Congress. So why aren't they actually just doing it?
Well, actually, I know it's kind of fallen off of the radar for a lot of people, but actually 30 states out of the 50 states have taken action to prohibit, as you mentioned, the use of TikTok on government devices and on government networks. So some of those state governors have used their existing authority to direct agencies to remove TikTok and prohibit TikTok from being used on devices. Some governors have issued new executive orders, and actually 4 states, Idaho, Tennessee, Virginia, and I think Kentucky, they've actually passed new legislation through their state houses to that effect. In Iowa, Governor Reynolds actually used her existing authority in 2022 to restrict TikTok on state devices, as I'm sure you know. And now, in the wake of the TikTok congressional hearings in Washington, D.C., now legislators are considering banning it entirely from the entire country, including personal devices.
Right. Here's what I really genuinely don't understand, because I understand why the young people, I've got one behind the glass right now. He is in training right now. His name is JD. But JD, when I said to him yesterday, what will you do if TikTok gets banned? He was very, very, very upset. Loves his TikTok.
Yeah, I mean,
he's 21.
Absolutely. As the TikTok CEO at the congressional hearing, he pointed out that there are 150 million monthly active users in the United States for TikTok. That's an astonishing number. That's nearly 50% of the U.S. population using the app at least once a month. And now it's come to the affiliation with the parent company ByteDance, which is the Chinese company that has policymakers concerned about threats to national security. And now there are several legislative proposals that are being considered, although some are problematic, and I can get into that later if you like.
Here's what I don't understand, right? So we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, and we have the ability to create an American TikTok. Why don't we? And then when we ban actual TikTok, we can have American TikTok, which won't be called that, but we can have that based here, not in the control of the Chinese communists, and we move on. Why don't we do that? Isn't Silicon Valley capable of that?
And it's already in progress, as you've seen a lot of American social media companies. It's an example of the free market being at work. You see TikTok was on a meteoric rise from 2018 until today. Again, they became one of the most dominant apps in just a handful of years. Instagram has already pretty successfully introduced their new Reels feature, which kind of simulates the TikTok experience. But you also see Snapchat, YouTube Shorts, kind of going after the same thing. So I think if TikTok were to be banned, I would imagine a lot of those creators would go to just some of those other American-based platforms.
I think it needs to be not like an add-on to Instagram or one of the others. I mean, there's a new one out there, of course, called Getter. They have a version of it as well. I think it needs to be just like TikTok, something that only does that, a new app that only does that. And we'll see. All right, what are the chances of this thing getting banned nationwide? What do you think?
Well, there seems to be some significant momentum in D.C. to ban TikTok. There's this one piece of legislation that Senator Mark Warner of the state of Virginia has introduced called the Restrict Act. And that would go very far to restrict not only TikTok, but a whole host of other foreign-owned software from being used in the United States. But one thing I would caution is this bill it does not mention TikTok by name, and it gives the administration and the Secretary of Commerce immense power to regulate social media. And one problem of having such a vague law is it could be reinterpreted down the road. Some commentators fear it could be giving the government license to surveil Americans on their social media accounts and take content down, ban apps for, not a lot of transparent reasons. So I think people should think twice about the Restrict Act and enacting such an onerous law governing American social media.
Right. And I've heard that before, and I do not disagree with that at all. I think we have to be very careful. It's very reminiscent of the Patriot Act, and in terms of how they brought it upon us. And we could, if only they knew how to do freestanding bills in Washington, D.C.
No kidding.
Yes.
If I might, Simon, real quick, just as far as what the states are doing, I think it's absolutely in the states' purview. If they want to limit social media apps or TikTok on official state devices, like as employers and as government agencies, it's their prerogative to, if Governor Reynolds doesn't want TikTok on state devices,
sure,
I think that's more than fair. And a lot of these states have, carved out exemptions for law enforcement activities or, official investigations that, governors may decide for any reason to exclude certain software from their devices. But it's a whole nother matter entirely when you're talking about individual citizens using a speech platform.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I do. It's dangerous ground. We need to tread very, very carefully. But the number of young people that get all their news from TikTok, whilst it's in the control of the Chinese communists, is a very dangerous place for us to be. It's that simple. Very dangerous. Jake, let's talk about your organization, why don't we, before we let you go?
Sure. So I work for the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC. We're an organization of state legislators from across all 50 states committed to free market, limited government, and federalism principles. And our legislators convene twice a year to consider model legislation that can be used, that state legislators around the country can be used, again, to kind of advocate for principles that have been proven to increase economic prosperity. Oh, go ahead.
No, so if people want to find out more, where do they go?
Oh, yeah. Go to our website, alec.org, ALEC.org, and you can see all of our model legislation online.
Thank you very much. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. We appreciate your time, sir.